Hi, my name is Stephen McGee and I'm the author of Health Forensics. I'm here to review this experiment involving the umbrella plant. Now, the umbrella plant on the left was growing next to a north-facing shady window, and the one on the right was growing 3 feet away from that north-facing shady window. As you can see, there's a very big difference in the growth patterns, and we're going to take a look at that. And both plants were approximately about 25 feet away from transmitting radio frequency utility meters. So both were grown in a biologically harmful radio wave field. So we're here to look at the difference in the growth between growing these plants in bright light and growing it in not so bright light. So let's have a look at the bright light plant first. So the big thing I notice with this is how dark the leaves are. So it has a very dark green leaves, and the shape of the leaves are very narrow throughout the plant. It's very uniform growth occurring throughout the plant. And as I say, this was right next to the window. And the other thing that I can see in this plant is there's growth all over the back as well. So the growth all over this plant is uniform. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. So the very obvious thing in this plant is the colour. So you can see the leaves are actually very, very light green. So this was only 3 foot further away from the window, and it had a clear view of the window, and it's gone significantly different in its chlorophyll. The other thing that's happened here is the leaves. So if we look at the leaves, they're much broader, very broad leaves on this plant. I'm going to show you some of these broad leaves. So take a look at that relative to the size of my hand, and let's take a look at one of these. So very, very different structure to the leaf on this plant as compared to this plant. So you can see that's a much wider leaf. So the other thing that you can see on this is very shiny leaves. So for some reason, being 3 foot further away from that north-facing shady window has caused the leaves on this plant to go very, very shiny. And that is a known, extensively documented effect of radio frequency exposure on plants. So people who study radio frequency exposure in plants see these shiny leaves all the time in plants that are in radio wave fields. So it appears that when it comes to growing plants, this light effect in radio frequency fields is actually quite important. And there's no doubts about it that if you combine a bright light exposure in conjunction with a biologically harmful radio wave field, that the plant that's getting the bright light exposure thrives so much better compared to the plant that is a little bit further away from the window. And you can see on the back of this plant there's no growth. So all the growth on this plant was on the side of the plant that faced the window. So I came to the conclusion with this umbrella plant that it's a high light plant, and if you move it away from the window, you're going to get a stressed plant. And if you combine that with a toxic radio wave field exposure, then you get a very stressed plant, as we can see with this plant. So it's very sickly as compared to the one that is next to the window. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I wish you the very best of health. Thank you.